McCarthy is trying to get rid of Ilhan Omar on the with her committee assignments. And right now he's hitting a bit of a bump because at the very least on the Foreign Affairs Committee, you need a full House vote. And this is just a bit of a preview of what he's going to have to deal with largely, given the incredibly slim margins that the Republicans have in the House. His capacity to get rid of her might be limited because, as I mentioned, you need a full House vote, and hopefully the Democrats stand behind her. They haven't really announced a replacement or someone that would, I guess, fill her seat on the committee. But I mean, I'm semi-surprised by that, given their willingness and enthusiasm to throw her under the bus, largely calling her anti-Semitic, condemning her when she's nothing of the sort.
But I will just say, like, Ilhan also knows how to play these parliamentary games, I think, as well as anybody, particularly I think on the squad. She has history of that in Minnesota, and
House
so
Whip.
and she's been taking votes that aren't particularly votes that I'm certainly happy with, and are worse votes. I wish I had could remember this. Maybe I'll look it up for after, but. Votes that like AOC is taking better votes on, particularly on like foreign policy stuff, and I think it's because she's strengthening her position in the party to, fight off this attack.
So here she is responding to reports that McCarthy might actually try to hold this floor vote to remove her from the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Our democracy and our governing bodies rest on a healthy and vibrant debate. Our strength lies not in our perfection, but in the diversity of our voices and our openness to civil discourse. That is why, whatever our disagreements might be as members of Congress, policy differences alone have not and must not be cause for eliminating someone from serving on a committee. In modern American history, the punishment of stripping a member of Congress of their committee assignments has been reserved for only the most egregious wrongdoings. Those convicted or indicted on corruption, those who have engaged in bribery, sexual misconduct, encouraged violence, or other grave charges. I have served on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Education and Labor Committee for the past 2 terms, committees that I have lived experience and expertise in. As a child who survived war, lived in a refugee camp, I would have never imagined that I would one day have the opportunity to serve on a subcommittee on Africa, global health, and global human rights. I would not have believed that I would one day not just serve as the first African-born member of Congress, but on a committee that oversees policies towards the continent. Kevin McCarthy's purely partisan move to strip us from our committee is not only a political stunt, but also a blow to the integrity of our democratic institution and threat to our national security. We are thankful to Leader Jeffries and House Democrats, and even some courageous Republicans, for standing with us. If McCarthy wants to denigrate the integrity of the House and its committees, we will always stand up to these efforts. I am grateful for the confidence of my constituents and my colleagues have shown me to serve on these committees, and I look forward to continuing that work of building a more peaceful world.
The reality is that while Kevin McCarthy is trying to oust a handful of lawmakers from their positions, including Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff, those former two have to do with like Adam Schiff's public-facing connection with the Trump impeachment, Swalwell, his connection to, right-wing larger conspiracies about China. So that's the reasoning behind those. Ilhan Omar, it's just all bigotry. Bigotry. And he sees an opening here because apparently Josh Gottheimer and Jared Moskowitz, who have accused her of anti-Semitism in the past, are being a bit lukewarm on whether or not they'll support her in a floor vote. But
Despicable.
I mean, exactly. Nancy Mace has, I guess, said that she doesn't agree with this tactic. Another Republican, Sparks from Indiana, has said that she would oppose the measure as well. The reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar were removed from committees in 2021 was because they tried to overturn the Democratic result. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guess it was a little earlier because of her conspiracy theories. But Gosar in 2021 was because he was supportive of a coup in our government. And that is the bare minimum amount of accountability that those guys should have faced. They should have been, frankly, criminally prosecuted. And if we were a functioning country, that would have been the case. But what drives this with Ilhan Omar is pure bigotry. The fact that she's one of the few Muslim members of Congress, the fact that she chooses to speak clearly and openly against Israeli apartheid, and also the fact that her presence on these committees, it's a stain on American exceptionalism, given how she...
I mean, watch the video of her. Watch the video of her grilling Elliot Abrams, right?
Right.
And that's exactly why, like, these and Elliot Abrams is still very much welcome part of the foreign policy community, the bipartisan blob in D.C., which is crazy to have Ilhan there. And it was regarding the China committee. Ilhan voted in support of it when Jamal Bowman said things like, this is Cold War, and I think that's just because Ilhan has previously taken heat for saying we should have more cooperation with China, so I think, she's playing a game here.
Yeah,
I respect her a lot, and think it is like, again, like you said, I'm not a huge Schiff fan, and if we have to sacrifice Schiff, the only worry I have is it makes him more of a martyr, and then he's going to be even more of a hero among Democrats.
Well, maybe, but at the same time, hopefully, when in his run for Senate, he has a little less free publicity on any committee. To make a name for himself.
Yeah. A little bit resentful of that sort of publicity-seeking behavior on the part of Schiff.
Yeah. Anyway, support Ilhan Omar, and if this floor vote actually happens, I'm going to be looking very hard at who votes yes and no on the Democratic side, and if Gottheimer actually sticks to his word. Just another piece of evidence about what kind of guy he is.